All right. So hello again, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties. So here we are again. This is part 2 of the meeting on Saturday, the 27th. Yeah, so the next item on the agenda was our performance event, because we've talked to some of the artists. So now we're just going to run through some planning things, I think. So I think the next thing I had was to summarize both of the calls that we had on yesterday. I don't know, Marion, do you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm sorry, I don't have my notes up right now from the call, but I spoke with Carrie Sundal yesterday. We had a really good conversation, and she's on board for March 31st. We spoke about the event itself, how we think it'll look. She's agreed to be the first one to present her work. She can actually give us a really great general introduction for the whole event because her work is all about disability arts and culture. She tends to try and flip the script where we typically talk about disability representations in a kind of reactionary way, like looking at stereotypes and being like, this is bad. She's more interested in talking about how the disability community itself is generative and as producers of art, right? As creators of art, not just as consumers of art. So that's going to be what she talks about for the first, 10 minutes. Maybe she didn't put a timeline on that, but I can clarify with her later. So just about 10 minutes on that, and then showing us like a 20 to 30 minute clip from the film that she's working on.
So was she going to do a Q&A still?
Yeah, and then like a Q&A at the end. Then our event would be followed, so I explained to her, then we have like a break, come back, see Antoine Hunter dance, and then try and incorporate Barbara Barnes in whatever way would work for her. And I'm hoping that we can get in touch with her soon. I know Maddie, you said that she's having a kind of a family emergency, so she's going to be a little bit slow at getting back to us, which is fine. We talked about logistics as well. So Carrie will be looking for flights, and she'll keep us posted about her itinerary and the cost of that. We discussed a $500 honorarium. And I also said that we would cover her taxis to and from the airport and to and from the museum. Just feel like we should cover their full transportation needs. And then 2 nights in a hotel, which we didn't discuss which hotel yet, which I think we should probably have a conversation about amongst ourselves, because we do have that one free night at a hotel somewhere in South Durham that's a bit far. High Regency something? No? Was it not? I haven't. No, it was something different. It's actually not in this folder. It's in a different folder, so I don't have anything. But it's far away. And so I'm not sure we want, it's like a 20-minute drive from campus. So I'm not sure we want to use that right now. We can think about other ways we can make use of that certificate.
Does it expire? Yeah.
November. So if we had if we had someone come for one night in fall.
Okay.
Think about that. That's, it's down to you guys. If you want to pay for taxis to and from this far away hotel, it's your call. So we haven't discussed where they'll stay. We also talked about doing a dinner, something to welcome her to Durham from Chicago when she arrives. And I don't think this would necessarily have to be part of our budget for the event, but just to welcome them here, to have some kind of social gesture. And she's friends with Jules Ordendahl James, so she wanted Jules to be there, just to be part of it. And also she said she'd love to have students, and because I told her that she was a student choice, which is true, and that Simon really likes her work, so maybe Simon should be the one to go to dinner with her. We can see how he feels about that. So if it were to happen on a Friday, that might be hard to schedule around the student expo that I was planning to do that night. But that was another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, is should we do the student expo on that Friday, because it is Good Friday, which we didn't realize that this was all happening during Easter until yesterday. So yeah, should we maybe have this student expo earlier in the week or something?
So
yeah.
Did we have it on Good Friday last year?
I don't think that Easter was at the same time last year. I don't remember, but I don't think it was an issue.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It moves around, which is hard because Disability Pride Week doesn't.
Right.
So
what do you imagine the consequences would be for having it on Good Friday? Like, do you think people would be attending services?
no idea.
I don't know.
You guys know the student body better than I do.
Some people do attend services. I'm just not
Right.
sure what proportion.
Right. Well, I don't know.
I just don't know how I feel about forcing my students to go to an event on a religious holiday. So,
That's great.
just because at least they would have to be there.
I mean, we
We should do it on a Wednesday night or something,
what was going on the Thursday? Because now our
I teach
Thursdays.
till 6 on Thursday, so
Oh.
that makes it hard.
Yeah, we could do Wednesday. Yeah.
Is that Wednesday now?
The whole week is still pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it on that?
No, Ash Wednesday is like this month.
Yeah.
Ash Wednesday is the beginning of I'm just beginning of Lent.
Okay, well,
That week, yeah, it's pretty much, Good Friday is the biggest deal of that week, yeah.
I like the proximity to the national event, but.
You too, so I don't know, we can figure that out later, because like the
Yeah.
student expo isn't gonna be as much work to plan as the art event that we're doing. So we can talk about that next week or something, but it's just something to kind of think about. I would like to have it on the Friday before, because then we have Carrie come to it, and, then students could meet her, and it might inspire them to come to the arts event the next day.
Maybe it's worth giving it more thought. I don't know if your student, maybe you could ask your students and,
Yeah,
and
how many people
say, yeah,
would this be a problem for?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. Let's see. So, okay. So, Deepti, do you want to talk about our call with Antoine Hunter, or I can also just summarize it real quick.
Yeah, sure. So, yesterday our call with Mr. Hunter went pretty well. He sent us a summary, his assistant Zana sent us a draft of a possible contract, and I think everyone got it. But the biggest thing was that they're asking for a $2,500 honorarium, and we would also have to reimburse his flight to and from San Francisco, and hotel costs as well. And he's just requested that there be an ASL interpreter for him. And when we told him about the half an hour time restraint on the piece, he said that he may need more time just to allow for communication, because interpreting does take some time. So we could potentially put his performance at the end. It would take like about 45 minutes or so, I would imagine. I'm not really sure. I'm trying to think what else. He was very, very enthusiastic and on board to be part of this program, but finances is something we definitely need to figure out, because it is going to be expensive to bring him in.
Yeah, so I think as long as we have the funding, that should be fine. And then we should be able to. So I think the thing we need to do is we need to get in touch with Sean Ferguson at UCAE as soon as possible, because we are not actually allowed to sign any contract. So that thing that they sent us, we can't do anything with that. We have Duke has to prepare a contract, and then we have to send it to them, and they sign that. So yeah, we can't actually sign this contract that they sent us. We thought that they were going to send us a list of what their honorarium would look like. But yeah, so what you need to do, I think, is get in touch with UCAE as soon as possible and figure out how to work out the contract. I think the biggest things are, when are they going to get their money? Because he's going to go to Chile around the same time. And he was saying, as far as the expenditures, he wasn't sure how much he'd be able to handle up front. And I think the other thing is, so the way that I understand it is it's going to be like a lump sum amount that we would put in the contract. So I think we need to just double check on that and see, like, should we overestimate, or like, do we need like an exact amount, or how's that going to work? And then once we have the contract set up, then we can go to SOFC and be like, hey, this much money is in the contract. We have this much funding, this much money to cover the difference, and then hopefully they would honor that. That's what Luke Friedel said, is once it's in the contract, they're basically going to honor it. So I hope there will be no issues with that.
The thing is that flights to California are like vary in prices so much, and I think it's like the earlier you book, the better. Because I've heard people spending anywhere from $200 to $800 round trip, and I think we're gonna have to account for 2 people. So
Where's my phone?
I don't know how much we should. Like, let's say we ask for a lot of money and it gets approved, like whatever's left over back, or would that just go into the TDA account?
I mean, yeah, I would think we would have to give it back. I think that is the protocol based on the training I've received. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is to get in touch with Sean Ferguson about those things. So I think, Kathy, you said that you'd be able to handle contracts and the like. So would you be able to just contact Sean Ferguson at some point this week?
And also, I had a question. So I know we were discussing on the Facebook page the idea of reimbursement after, I guess, they would pay for whatever was necessary. How would that work? I just had a lot of questions, so I can answer you on that platform. But,
right. So basically, are you okay? You're okay being filmed, right? I'll just put the camera towards you.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. So as far as the reimbursements go, we fill out the contract first.
Okay.
Then we applied SFC for the difference in funding. Hopefully they fund that. Then, so as soon as the contract is approved, like as soon as we submit it, and then Duke goes through the process to approve it after the fact and start processing the check, so hopefully they'll have the check ready like soon after the event. The earlier we get the contract done, the earlier they'll have it processed.
Okay.
So I think we'll want to check with Sean Ferguson again on that deadline and make sure that it's not going to be too far after the event, or at least we know that how far after it's going to be, so that we can tell Antoine Hunter.
Alright, so that's basically looking like pretty much our only choice.
The other way to do it would be the P card, but that is Gavin over at UCA Finance did not recommend that. I think one thing is it creates a lot more work for us, and the second thing is if there's some issue with like a flight gets missed or something, and then we booked the flight, we've paid for that already, and so that is also somewhat of an issue.
Okay.
But you could discuss all of that with Sean Ferguson. I mean, I think more questions is better than fewer. So.
Okay. And so has this been communicated to Antoine already, or are we still going to ask Sean first and then?
Yeah, I think what we told Antoine is that we talked to him about the general process. Like we get the contract, and then I think we talked about going to SFC, right, VP?
Yes.
Yeah. And then so we talked about the contract going to SFC, and then them getting reimbursed. We didn't tell him like the deadline again, and then and I think as far as like knowing what amount to put down, I think that's more for us, especially. But yeah, I think the important thing we need to communicate back to him is like, when is he gonna get the money?
Right.
Yeah. He was also asking about hotels, and I told them that I would send them a list of hotels nearby that they could look into, and I would make sure that there was like plenty of amenities in terms of accessibility and stuff. But one thing that they mentioned in the contract was that we will be providing transportation to and from the hotel, and I don't know how that would work. Like, would we just reimburse their Ubers, or do they need like a special type of car? I don't really know, and I didn't know the best way to phrase this question either. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think so. I think we should be able to reimburse everything. When we talked to Luke Friedel, it seemed like as long as the money is in a contract, SOFC will fund that. So as long as we include money for transportation, that should not be an issue.
So with a contract, do we just say all of the things that we need covered and give like rough estimates? Because we're not gonna know exactly what their taxi fare is gonna come to.
So, and the contract form is, so Kathy, you may want to go online to the UCAE site and look at that contract. It's probably going to be the same one that we filled out for Matt Hare. So again, I think it's just going to be, we fill out information about the event, and then the cost itself will just be one number. And then usually we don't have to make changes to the contract. I feel like that maybe that they may, like Antoine Hunter may want to make changes. I hope not, but I think if he does, that'll take longer because Duke has to approve everything, I think, before and after the fact kind of thing. But yeah, I think we're gonna start with that form and then fill in all the information. Hopefully, both parties. Yeah, but the reason we have to do the contracts through Duke is because Duke will then be liable instead of a student. So.
Is there any discomfort to the part of the process that requires you to first sign a contract and then discover with finality whether SOFC is going to fund it? Or is it pretty well assured that it's in a contract no matter what the high cost?
I mean, I think that's another thing to run by Sean Ferguson is like, yeah, once we know, so first we learn exactly how should we overestimate the amount? Do we need like an exact number? Then we come up with an amount, and then we can go back to UCAE with that and then be like, do you think SOFC will fund this? Because the UCAE people are advisors for the SOFC team, so I think if we go through UCAE, then they should be able to help us guarantee that SOFC will fund that. Yeah.
Another follow-up question. For Antoine to come out here and to put on this 30 to 45 minute performance, might there be additional events, or maybe just having lunch with him, some opportunity for other people to interact with him while he's out here, just because this is a commendable amount of effort that's going into bringing him out. And so I'm wondering if there might be perhaps another group at the university or individuals who might just want to take the opportunity to interact with them, or dance groups, just to ask around. Yeah, since he's going to be here anyway, dance groups is a good idea.
Yeah, so I think so. Yeah,
and that could come later if it's decided that he's coming, and then reach out to other departments.
Right. So from what he told us, he would have to leave on Friday night, his time, and be back by Sunday noon, his time. So I don't think he would have a lot of time outside of the event.
Maybe something like that.
Because I mean, I think.
I don't want to make it one logistically complicated. I just want to float the idea as like, if there are individuals who are particularly excited about his work and wanted to have more face time with him, whether that could be complicated.
Well, at the very least, you can take special care reaching out to all of the dance groups and just like letting them know that he's going to be there, and just encourage them, I guess, to participate maybe like more heavily. Like if he has a Q&A. Yes. So.
Yeah, because I think he also wants to talk a little bit more about like his life story.
Right.
Or well, he said that he could do that, and I think he does have some very good things to share. So I definitely do want to give him the space to do that. So
And this is at the very, very least, like, we can definitely try to work out something where we would actually get to work with certain groups one-on-one, but I think, if anything, it would also like help our audience, like, grow and participate more. If they have the reasons, right?
yeah.
Yes.
I also have a question. Antoine Hunter. Today, okay? So, said you had to the entire time, or is there a communication, like, is there a discussion part that he was imagining?
Yeah. So like I said, I think he does want to talk into about like his life to some extent. He was actually talking about like how like dancing saved him.
Yeah.
I think that's a really important topic to explore.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be some of it. Yeah.
Is that going to happen during 45 minutes though?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So that'll be yeah.
That's, so he's not gonna be dancing for
No.
the whole 45
No.
because of, I think that the, Nasher said that his performance shouldn't be more than half an hour, just based on the space. You know, it's not exactly a dance floor.
Okay. So in terms of like his own,
Yeah,
like it's not anything on their end where they can't have someone dancing there for more than half an hour.
I think it's that the stage isn't necessarily made for dancing. They kept saying like, you know, you were on the call with me, they kept saying it would be okay for a 20 to 30 minute performance.
Yeah. 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 He's not going to be dancing that whole time.
Okay,
Yeah, I think the other big logistical thing, other than talking to Sean Ferguson, is once we get to talk to Barbara Barnes, I think we'll have to work out how exactly we're going to do everything, because we're going to say 1 to 3 for the event and then 3 to 4 for the tours. So then 1 to 3 gives us 2 hours. We're going to have an intermission in there, so that takes out some time from that 2 hours. We have like, because I mean, Carrie Sandal's thing is almost going to come to like 45 minutes itself.
probably a little bit more, probably more like 50, 55.
So yeah,
We want
so
another 15-minute break and then Antoine,
so
and then Barbara.
yeah. So then that's going to be 55 plus 15 is an hour 10, plus another 45 is an hour 55.
Mhm.
So then we have only 5 minutes left in the 2 hours.
For Barbara, yeah. I wasn't sure how Antoine wanted to approach it, so I kind of thought that he would just dance and then Barbara would be like drawing him dance, because that's kind of, it sounds like that's what she does, is like go to events and like watch musicians and like draw, trying to capture the emotion into her sketches. So I was thinking she'd be like almost part of his, but background, you know, and then I was hoping at the end we'd have discussion maybe with both of them or with all 3 artists, or, well, I don't know, I feel like maybe Carrie will have done a lot at that point, and maybe just Antoine and Barbara at the end, but we haven't talked to Barbara yet, so I don't know if she's even comfortable leading discussions, speaking, I don't know what she's gonna want to do.
So the tours 3 to 4, those are things that we're organizing in terms of when they're going to start and stuff, right?
Yeah, I was thinking they'd start at 3, but like I said, if we need to spill over past 3, I don't think it would matter. Like if we're reserving space from 12 to 4, right? So we can talk to the Nasher about these details later.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing. We need to get in touch with the Nasher and tell them that Antoine Hunter needs a CD player, speakers, a mic, and then we have this in the document, our notes as well.
Okay, well, I'm gonna write to them now to confirm the date, so.
Okay.
Why don't you, is it in a document that I can find?
Yeah, it's Skype call with Antoine Hunter. CD player, microphone, speakers, then water. I
think you would have to request from the Nasher, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so the CD player and the speakers and mic and stuff, hopefully they would have, or at least we need to figure out if they have it, because then we would need to get it if they don't.
Yeah, so I was just kind of doing a rough estimate for the budget, and it's like, I think if we like add up the honorarium and all the logistical like travel prices and stuff, it comes down to like about $4,000 total. I mean,
For Antoine Hunter alone.
Just for him, yeah.
yeah.
Don't have enough sponsors to cover that yet. Obviously, we're applying for more funding, but given that we have him and Carrie, and, you know, if we, and we should cover Barbara's travel as well, even though it's not gonna be nearly as much. It's coming out to be pretty expensive, so I don't know if we should maybe think about asking, like, reaching out to more sponsors. There are more people on that list that we haven't emailed to, we haven't sent emails to. We also have some sponsors that are willing to spend more than we ask for. We just don't know how much more, and I don't know how to really delicately approach that. So I was thinking that the best way to do it, and I wrote this down in the document on planning this event, is that we should organize an event, with a meeting with our sponsors. So they can kind of be part of the planning and think about, you know, just coordinating the event. So I think I put this down as something that should happen right by next week, just reaching out, sending an email and like getting a doodle poll out there, and then inviting the people I've listed there to come to this, you know, planning meeting. And they might like just volunteer how much more money they might be able to contribute once they're seeing us like have the discussion about what our needs are and how much money we have so far.
Yeah.
They might be like, okay, we'll give you another 500, 9,000, whatever.
So it's gonna be hard to get all these people in one place.
I don't know.
Okay.
That's why we have to do like a when to meet or do a poll or something like that.
Because we could, even if we like do something like this where where people can join virtually, that can.
And what we can also keep in mind is that, for like the Health Humanities Lab, people like Deborah Jensen, like people that also work for her, so it can be one of those things where like if she can't go, she'll send Thomas or something like that. So you can, okay, you know, you can kind of like say like you or a representative of your office, you know, that way there's a little bit more flexibility.
Okay, let's see here. So I think there was someone else that was gonna come back soon in here. So I think we should start wrapping up. But Kathy, so you'll be able to both talk with Sean Ferguson.
Yes, I wanted to ask a quick question about that. So what exactly does my plan of action have to be? Because I know, like, submitting form, like emailing, so I just wanted to clarify that, please, so I can write it down, so I know exactly what to do, like, every day.
Is Trent available to help Kathy with that stuff?
Maybe you can get in touch with Trent
Yeah, I
as
think I
well.
would reach out to Sean Ferguson first, and then once I start asking, and probably just CC him on all emails.
Yeah.
Trent, that is, and then of course, well, I guess I could just send it to.
Yeah, because if you send it to exec, it gets everybody.
Right,
So,
so that'll be good. Other than that,
so yes, I think it's.
what I need to do exactly.
Um,
So first, just send an email.
yeah, so you probably like. So there are several different questions that we'd want to ask him. So I mean, you could do it. You could do it over email. You could do it over a phone call. I think it's up to you. So I think the thing is, in terms of the contract, how much money should we be putting in that box? And you may want to look at the form ahead of time,
Yeah.
like how should we overestimate? Should we try and get as exact as possible? How does that work? So how much money? When would they get the money? And also, is SFC really going to fund the difference, or is that something we should be worried about? And I think the other thing is we're basically going to need to submit like 3 contracts eventually.
Okay.
One for each artist. Yeah, I think we do need to. It looks like people want to come in though. Is that what you needed, Kathy?
Hmm?
Is that what you needed? Are you clear now?
Yeah, basically, so we can start talking about, but, in terms of the form, you did mention a form, so what does that entail? Like, is that something that
I'll find the link and send that to you so you can look at it ahead
That'd
of
be
time.
great, yeah.
Yeah, so I can do that.
Okay, so first, I'm just gonna send an email.
Yeah.
All right, to Sean Ferguson from UCAB.
Yeah.
Do you have a
Yeah, I can send you his I can find that too.
Yeah.
So in terms of other things, we'll be sending out the accessibility survey again. Please fill that out if you get a chance. And I think we'll have to end it there. Sorry, everybody.
And last thing, are we planning on participating in this? I think Bridget Let's send an email for a fundraising opportunity for Duke groups where you can host a fundraiser at Jason's Deli or Mr. Mongolian or Bull Street Gourmet and Market, and they will donate back 15% of sales that day to your group.
We can.
I'm just looking.
So we'll discuss with Trent whether he's willing to take the lead on that.
Okay.
I think. But yeah, I think so. We can figure that out in the future. All right. Well, thanks for coming, everyone. Sorry again for the technical difficulties, and sorry we ran a bit long today. I think that's my bad. But anyway, thanks for coming, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Thanks.